Hello, everybody. It's welcome to Monday Night Therapy, and I'm sorry that if you came on and you expected much better looking people to be here, and you got us, and this just it's a disaster already. You guys might know Andy, the guy over on one side of me, and he sits in the press box and he's all hotty toddy now that he's credentialed and had rubs elbows with people. Above us is Steve. Steve is our photographer at Coronation now. He does much better than I ever did.
Actually,
and he's also, I've also noticed a certain amount of arrogance coming from him because, he's all hotty toddy. You were right next to Patrick Mahomes Monday.
Yeah, you know what though, John? I've known you for 35 years, so if you want to go down that path, we can dig up some stuff here.
Is it 35 years?
It has been.
Oh my God!
You guys are old.
George, you're damn right. Steve looks pretty good though.
I think you're like 1 year older than me, but that's all right.
Okay, in 10 minutes, we're going to have at about 8:10, we're going to have a special guest show up, hopefully. And
John, I'm already here.
What?
I'm here.
No, somebody that's, not that kind of special, Andy.
Hello.
Yeah.
And
we're going to grill him on why our defense is not going to get run over during the entire Big Ten football season, because let's face it, we're going to talk about Cincinnati and, what happened and then why everybody's probably disappointed. And if Steve got close enough to Patrick Mahomes to smell him.
Is that the official description? Is that where we're going?
I know what I mean. That's how I know that if I'm around a celebrity, if I'm close enough to smell them. There you go. Did you get close enough?
I was within camera shots of him. That's close enough.
Yeah, but you're shooting a 400, aren't you?
300. Yeah, he walked by.
Before the guy shows up, I would like to, number one, Steve, you know what sidelines are like. I looked on TV because I look on sidelines to see what people are carrying, for cameras and stuff. And that sideline looked like it was, honest to God, so full of people. It was amazing.
It was pretty normal. Lots of familiar faces. There was some local media there as well. Sight lines were good. Once you're on the field, pretty much all the fields look the same. Some fields are a bit more compressed than others. This was good. It was a good setting, good environment. And Andy can attest to it was loud.
Yes,
loud.
I'm telling you. I mean, because their press box is like Memorials. It's just, there's no open windows. It's just window enclosed. And I don't know. I think it allows a little more sound in than Memorials does, but it allowed a lot in. It was loud from I think my favorite part of the loudness was, I can't remember what we did to deserve the fans' frustration at that point. It was the first half, so there was a lot. But the Cincinnati band took the field kind of, behind the end zone, went to wander around behind the Nebraska sideline, and the Nebraska fans started booing the damn band.
Wow. Holy cow.
The drinks are poured strong and true, and the fans came to play hurt when they're booing the band just for getting in position behind everyone for halftime. That cracked me up. I shit you not. That was pretty good.
I hate to get too far into a conversation, but I have seen on Twitter, God, that's a reliable platform, that somebody has suggested, or people are talking about the fact that, we're going to do this stadium renovation at some point, that Kansas City would be a good place to have our home games.
Well, I don't think that's necessary for the entire season, is it?
Well, that's just it. I kind of thought, okay, that'd be cute maybe once a season, but the best way for a state to stay healthy is to take all their money and give it to another state.
Also, it's the thing is not to have all our home games there. It's maybe once a year find another team like Cincinnati that's willing to have one of their home games with us there.
Cincinnati. Yeah, we'll just give up our home game. Let's go to Kansas City. That's a great plan.
But I don't know, man. Keep all the home game money and then find another team. Hey, I know you're our one kind of P4 game. How'd you like to make a lot of money and make your fans drive 9 hours to come to Kansas City, baby? It's like that's win-win. They go home with a check. We go home with a win. We have another wonderful memory of just debauchery in the parking lots. Let's go.
So tell me more about the atmosphere. I mean, you guys were there. I had to stay home and pretty much scream at my TV by myself.
Yeah, obviously the city of Kansas City loves Nebraska. The place was packed. Parking lot opened at 3:30. Yeah, and it's the shared parking lot between baseball and football.
Actual opening time 4.
Yeah, but the cars were lined up. Yeah, so they were lined up and backed up. So from the get-go, it was rocking and rolling. By the time I left the stadium, it was 1:00, and there were still people, tailgating, still, having a good old time. It was from the get-go. It was red everywhere.
Okay. He's not lying. I had for those of you who read coordination, you might realize we've got a volleyball writer who, through absolute nepotism, is my daughter Miley. So I agreed to take her and her inebriated fiance Connor to their hotel. I checked into my room at 1:45 in the morning. I thought I'd allowed myself plenty of time to get there by 3:30 or so, take my time getting to the stadium. But silly me, that would have only required like a 4.5-hour drive. and the reality went about an hour longer than that. So I skipped the check-in, and God bless the people of the Grain Valley Comfort Inn. she was very nice. She said, "Well, you are my last check-in in the evening," and I'm like, "Evening? You mean the morning? It's 1:45." And I went, "Hey, when's checkout? 11 or 12?" And she goes, "It's at 11." And then she looks at me and goes, "But you can stay till 12." So thank goodness.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna bring our guy in, and remember, good God, I haven't done this.
Scott Frost, welcome.
Okay, is he coming on? What?
Can you see me?
No, I don't know what the hell the deal is. Then that's 2, and that's
now
3.
It's just us.
Oh my God!
Just tap his. I think all you got to do is tap his picture there, dude.
I know, but it's not bringing in a 4th person.
It's
that.
It's too bad.
Hey, there it was.
John.
Okay.
Welcome.
Like I said, I haven't done this. I haven't done this in a while, and they changed the entire interface since I've last actually done this. Welcome, Adam Carricker. And I don't think I need to introduce you.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna beat you up.
Oh, awesome! I look forward to it.
Okay. Do we need to do pleasantries or just get right into it?
We can dive into it if you like.
Okay. Here's what I specifically want you to do. I know that you did a 25-minute long video about the defense. I didn't watch much of it. I watched a little bit of it. When you do content creation, you don't get the time to watch other videos, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. Very specifically, tell us why the whole season isn't going to be us getting run over by the Big Ten. Okay. I'll leave you to that and just get going. I'll shut up.
Well, I can't guarantee anything. We have 2 guys that are 300 pounds and over on our entire defensive front line. Yeah. That's it. I can't guarantee anything. What I kind of surmised was the big takeaway was, man, we got a leaky defense, gave up over 200 yards rushing and 0 sacks. Not great stuff. Okay.
Right.
So you think about it. There are some positives. We allowed less than 100 yards of total offense in the first half, multiple 3-and-outs, forced 2 turnovers. 1 turnover led to a short field on Cincinnati's 24-yard line, led to a touchdown. We only scored 2 of those on the day, by the way. So the defense did some good things, allowed a 52% completion percentage from Cincinnati, which is awful from their perspective, great from ours. And I've never heard of this before. 2.8 yards per pass attempt is what Cincinnati had. Ours was not great at 5.8.
Right.
I've never heard of 2.8. That's awful for rush yards per attempt, let alone pass. So our pass defense is much improved. The leakiness in the second half is very concerning. The number one thing a defense needs to do, not allow points. So we didn't allow a ton, 17, but two of the most important ways that you prevent the team from scoring is by stopping the run and getting after the quarterback, and we struggled with those. So my takeaway is it was ugly in certain areas. We're a young team, the youngest team in the Big Ten. There's no reason to think we won't get better. But I'm going to look at anyone who in the preseason was like 10 wins, college football playoff, and I'm going to say, you might be right. But I didn't join you in the preseason, and I'm not joining you now. I said 8 wins should be expected, and I predicted 9 because I started sipping the Kool-Aid, admittedly. We'll see what happens. But that was kind of my summation.
I went directly to 10-2.
You did. Oh, that's
yeah,
on
I
you.
did.
That's
Yeah,
on you.
I did. You know what? And I told people, I said, you know what? I said Carricker didn't pick 10-2 because he's a pansy and a non-believer. Those were my exact words.
I appreciate that.
And at the end of the video, I did say you're probably right around 9-3. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to pitch in here too. And I was already talking about this, and then Matt Rule talked about it this morning, is 96 of those 202 rushing yards were gained by the quarterback. And not very many of those were gained on runs designed for the quarterback. We got pressure on the quarterback. The problem was when we got near him, we couldn't put a glove on him. So he's scrambling for a lot of these yards. And I don't feel like every quarterback is going to quite have that speed. Now, do we have to learn to contain those guys? Yes. Also, our mobile quarterbacks, have they been I don't know, toothpick in the gums for Nebraska for years? Yes. But this wasn't just being consistently rolled over by the running backs together, I think, gained less than Emmett Johnson. So there's positives there. I think there's ways to fix it. But if you get a mobile quarterback, you've got to contain, not go for the leap and the grab. I don't feel like it's as bad as they're making it out. And if we can, and even if we are going to give up 200 yards, if we can hold everybody to 69 yards passing, I feel like we'll be okay too. And this is a guy who threw for 2,800 last year, but just wanted to, hey, stick my nose in there and make some excuses, but I don't think they're excuses.
I mean, you're right. The one thing I would point out is they didn't just flat out run the ball down our throats. It was a bunch of quarterback runs and leakiness. We knew he was going to do that coming in. The other thing is they had 5 guys who averaged 5 yards per carry or more, and they had 3 guys who averaged over 7 yards a carry. So that's where the word leaky comes in. But we didn't give up explosive plays. Only 1 play did we allow all day of 15 yards or more. So leaky, but not explosive. All I've heard John say so far is he doesn't watch my show and I'm a pansy. That's all I've heard so far.
Well, there you
Come
go.
on, John.
Which anyone can say at a remote location and get away with it.
Okay, you did start talking, and what you said was the thing that bothers me most is that we don't have a single guy over 300 pounds, or maybe we have 2. Okay, Ty and the Nut Masher. I mean, those guys were massive. I think Ty Robinson's going to have a fantastic NFL career. I miss him running up the field with the offensive lineman grabbing the back of his jersey. That's what I'll miss this season. Yeah. But the part of your show I did watch, you talked about stunting and cross, twists. Are we going to do a lot of that? And if we do a lot of that, is it because we don't have a 300-pound guy to just mash up space? Or is it part of what John Butler wants to do with the defense?
So did you watch my show, or you just see the clip that I put out on social media about that?
I might have watched the short.
Oh, okay. You watched the short. There you go. It's the one thing I clipped from the show, and I'm like, wait, that's the one thing you watched?
Well, it was interesting. You weren't supposed to be this perceptive. Next time I'll watch like 5 minutes of another part.
There you go. I appreciate it. I do think we're going to do a lot more stunting. I think, number one, it's part of the defense that Tony White had. I think it's part of the defense that John Butler and Matt Rule want to run up front. Number two, we're lighting the britches. Like, we're not just going – I looked real quick. Elijah Judy is exactly 300 pounds. Right. And I know there's another guy. It's not off the top of my head. I couldn't even find it in the 2 deep, the other 300-pounder. So I don't know. Maybe he's in the 3 deep. And Elijah Judy did not grade well in that game. Just an FYI. Right. Vincent Shavers graded in the 90s. Great. Elijah did not. So hopefully he'll get better. We're going to stunt because it's design of the defense. It's also, we have to. Like, when you're 290, 275, 295, you're not going to take on a 330-pound double team play after play. It's not going to work. But what you can do is you can use your speed, athleticism. You can confuse old linemen, get linebackers blitzing off your rear. And that's something that can create tackles for loss, which we need more of, because if you don't get there, you are leaving a hole open. So you got to counterbalance it by getting the tackles for loss to kind of offset, because you're not going to do it 100% correctly all the time. So hopefully you're getting tackles for loss to counter it as well.
So go ahead, Steve. You're just going to have to jump in here.
For loss, didn't we? I think it was like
it was 2 tackles for loss combined by 3 guys.
Okay.
It was 2 by 3 guys combined.
That's right. What do you read into it, Adam, in terms of there's some new coaches, new scheme, new players? If we're looking for optimism, what's your take on that angle?
I think for me, we're the youngest team in the Big Ten. Like, in one of my shows, I think where I predicted we're going to win 9 games, I pointed out we're the youngest team in the entire Big Ten. Now, you look at the 2 deep, we have 8 starters on offense that are juniors or seniors. And it was 7 or 8, depending on who started on defense, who were juniors or seniors. It's you get beyond that. You get to the young guys, or in that second level of the depth chart, especially up front. Up front, I don't think we have a single senior up front outside of Elijah Judy. So it's all mostly sophomores, some freshmen, a couple juniors in there. So we're a young team. So for a lot of these guys, it was their first exposure on a big stage. I'll tell you right now, when you've done something in practice, but you haven't done it in a game, and you haven't had to do it play after play after play after play. When I was a freshman, man, I was living the life. I came in on nickel. I played 10, maybe 15 snaps a game. I knew it was 3rd and long. I knew I was going to rush the quarterback. That was easy. When I became a sophomore and I started, and it was play after play after play, and now it's a run, or it's play action, or maybe it's goal line. Like, it is a completely different animal. So a lot of these guys, it's new to be out. Like, you're the guy. You're taking all the reps, which is completely different than knowing you're going to come in and come out. And it's also different for practice versus, hey, there's thousands in attendance and millions watching on TV. That's a different feel as well. If you watch Matt Rule's press conference today, hey, John, I put out a show about Matt Rule's press conference today if you want nothing to pay attention to.
I was going to watch it, but it's 29 freaking minutes long. My God, condense these things.
That thing took
you're already back. You're back.
That thing took me 3 hours. 3 hours and 24 minutes, 24 pages of notes. I spent a lot of time on that thing. But I talked about how Rule, just my perception, when he talked about the offense, he seemed happy. He almost was, I think, was not as complimentary of the special teams on purpose, because he wants them to keep getting better. With the defense, he was really like, oh, we need to get better at covering the running quarterbacks. And that's all he'd really talk about, even though he said we got to get better. I got the feeling like he had seen certain things in practice, and those same players didn't look the same in the game. And it was almost like he was a little surprised by that. But that was my own interpretation of his body language and tone.
At today's press conference, he didn't seem too upset. And he's never a type that shows up upset or whatever, but you can always kind of tell when he's a little tense. And today, his attitude was just kind of, everything's fixable, nobody freak out. I mean, not those exact words, of course, but he seemed pretty calm for a guy, that, hey, I got out of there with a P4, P5 win for the first time in 10 years. And we actively made a big play to win a 1-score game, which for me were 2 big points on the board, no matter what happened or the circumstances, just because we've not been winning those games for so many years.
There are positives to take. Like, We hadn't beaten a Power 4 team in game 1 of the season since 2003. And this is the type of game that we've lost so many times in the past, and we found a way to win. So I alluded to this, I think, in my Saturday show. I said, if you're looking at this through the lens of should be a college football playoff team, 10-2, 11-1, you're going to look at it differently than I do. I'm looking at it 8-4, maybe 9-3. I want to be 9-3 just so I can be right, but 8-4, 9-3. I'm looking at it through a little bit different. I don't want to say calmer lens, but like everything isn't such a big deal game 1 of the season through that lens.
Right. And the thing is, it's like, this was one of those things when everybody's coming up with, like, first of all, the people that were saying college football playoff, I was just going, you've got to stop that, like, right now. Let's just,
we were told this was Rule's third magic year.
But the thing is, it's like, here are these teams, because I could see, like, hey, I could see us going 11-1. That's possible. But you know what else is possible is there's 8 losses on the board. When you look at teams like Minnesota and Iowa, we have to play, who I think are operating at about a combined 900 clip at us for about the last 8-9 years. But we're just starting to chalk those up as that's going to happen this year, which we say year in and year out. And then 13-10, not to pick the most painful score to use as an example. But yeah, it's like 8-4 is not a bad thing. 10-2 would be great. But let's get there and this mostly one game at a time. That's why I liked when I did the poll, what's the most important game of the year? And a lot of very sensible people said what? It won the poll, Cincinnati. And then, and then they explained the logic was because that's the next game and that's going to be the most important game of the season, which I think, Coach Osborne sort of lived by was, that's the most important game right now. And I don't care if it's New Mexico State. Well, I guess, Michigan learned that was a little hard to get through when all was said and done. But
I think it's the ghosts of Ireland, Andy. We've learned the number 1 game, first game.
Let's not go there. That was probably the biggest of all the knife to the gut games. That Northwestern game was one where I was so grateful that I was dog sitting because I just calmly packed up, like wrote whatever, packed up, went home, and played with this dog for an hour, and everything was fine. But I don't know what would have happened without that. That dog jumped into one of my podcasts last year when I was dog sitting again.
Okay.
It's there for me.
Here's Wade Farr. Where is the Nebraska beef of the old days? Which I'm going to take as a segue to move to the offensive line. We averaged 3.1 yards per carry. I think that's a big problem. Go.
Was that our average?
Yes.
I didn't know he had enough.
I mean, everybody wants to point to the fact that Emmett Johnson had over 100 yards.
Yeah, he had over.
It took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the offense, and there's some things that kind of concern me about the offense, if I'm being honest with you. There were times when I was like, man, if we just run power, I feel like we can just lean on them. And we were, and then we stopped. And I don't know why. I remember, and we're not Bama, but I remember when Cincinnati was in the playoff and they played Alabama, Nick Saban ran the ball about 4,000 times that game because he says, you run a 3-3-5, you're really small, we're just going to lean on you. And they ran him over in the second half. Averaging 3.1 yards per carry versus a smaller defense like that is designed to keep everything in front of them. I wanted to average more yards per carry. Yeah. I'm a little concerned about the lack of big plays down the field, but Cincinnati's entire defense is built to keep everything in front of them. So I was fine with that. 0 turnovers, 79% completion percentage. I want to see some more explosive plays in the future, or can we at least run the ball for 4 yards per carry, if not more?
And I thought it was interesting. Corleone wasn't as much as a factor that everybody thought he was going to be. I don't know if you chalk that up to the line or his play.
I would sort of argue
his stats weren't. What'd you say?
I said I would sort of argue that he was, that they were able to play that much cover 3 and take away deep routes, because I mean that was one of the big reasons we just threw short all night. But yet their line kept us, because your defensive tackle isn't necessarily going to be the 10 tackle guy. He maybe had 1 or 2 tackles, but I just wondered by his presence, is that what allowed them to cover deep so often on Thursday and still keep the running game somewhat in check beyond Emmett Johnson.
I actually agree a decent amount with you. His stats are not great, but if you watch the film, he's a problem. They're having to send 2 to 3 blockers on him. And more than anything, when it was one-on-one, he would knock Justin Evans into the backfield, like consistently. Yeah. So I think you make a great point in the aspect of they didn't have to put 8 guys in the box, and we still averaged 3.1 yards per carry. And that starts up front, and that starts in the middle with him. I actually thought he played really, really well. Now, if you look at the stats, it's not going to, it's going to, the opposite of wow you. You watch the film, you'll be more impressed watching the film.
Right. And it was the kind of case where here's Emmett still getting 3, 4, 5 tough yards up the middle, but they, like you said, they don't have to load the box, load the line to keep it to that. And they were fine with that. And I'm thinking on our side, I would have said, hey, if we held Sorsby to a total of under 200 yards, it's probably not a bad night. I'm guessing on the opposite side, they were like, hey, if we just kind of keep the ground game in check, don't give up anything deep from Raiola, then we'll keep ourselves in the game as well.
They were right. They kept themselves in the game a little well for our comfort.
I did go out. I did go out and look up what was Don Carleone. What Dante? Yeah. It is Don. I mean, I did go out and look up. He is ranked the 10th best defensive tackle in the 2026 NFL draft by Walter Football. Something I've always looked at Walter Football for draft stuff. That's not crappy. I mean,
no,
you know what I mean?
No, he's a good player. He'll play on Sundays.
Yeah. What's that?
Who's Walter?
You got WalterFootball.com. I think, I've been doing this for a long time, so I just stuck with websites that have been around for a while because I figured they're old people like me and, I'll get senile together or something.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we need to know from Adam? Nobody's mentioned special teams. I don't know if we really need. Well, that would be a good positive for everybody, wouldn't it? I mean, special teams is like light years ahead of where it was last year.
I think it's a good positive. Matt Rule's, he can be interesting sometimes at the press conference. He started with everything that he was unhappy with about special teams and flat out said, I'm not happy with special teams. And I was like, I'm thrilled with special teams right now compared to where we were. Now, I said coming into the season, if we could just be average, I'd be thrilled. If we had average special teams the past 5 years, how many more games would we have won? So we are an above average special teams unit. At least we were Thursday. The Archie Wilson is great. Pin them inside there 23 times, inside the 10 twice. You got Kyle Cunanan, who goes 2 for 2, making field goals, a 52-yarder. Like, for the love of all that's holy, praise the Lord for all of the above. And you go to, we had the kick out of bounds. And Rule pointed that out. The return game, the kickoff return, I think we averaged like 16.5 yards per kickoff return.
Not great.
Not what you want. Not abysmal, not good. The punt return game, we averaged 1.5 yards per punt return. I'll be honest with you. That's not what we want, but no. I've seen similar in the past from Nebraska. So to me, the kicking game vastly improved. Return game must get better. But I think it was his way of saying special teams was better. But I'm going to start with what you need to get better at because I know you can be much better. And I think that's why he did it that way.
Yeah. And the thing was on the returns, I was just wondering if that was the case of Eckler going, look, we're going to just try and run everything back. And on kickoffs, that's not going into the end zone. Because obviously, if it's his choice, was it Kenneth Williams made 2 bad decisions because he had people on him at the 15. And I'm always one that's like, if you're not getting to the 25, you're just losing yards. Mm-hmm. But I'm just thinking that Eckler is like, and same with Barney on the punt returns, catch them and go. Because the more you do it, the better it'll get, and then we can fix the blocking as it goes. I felt so bad for Barney on one because one thing being like 9 floors above the deal is there he is back for one punt, and I just watched 2 guys just go up the middle untouched. I'm like, well, this is over before it begins. But I have to believe there's some sort of there was some sort of agreement there with Eckler going, I want these guys to run, and then we can just make it better by better, because we just have them fair catch till we get the perfect situation. We might be waiting a long time, knowing
the one
nothing
thing
about
that
what's actually going on.
the one thing that bothered me that involved special teams is why did we go for it in 4th and 2, like at the midfield late in the game. We're up. You have a punter that's now a weapon. He's proved to you that he's a weapon during the game, and you didn't use him as a weapon. I like being aggressive, but I think there's times where, okay, honestly, I looked at it and went, oh, God, it's Scott Frost. It goes to Scott Frost. Just going, oh, let's go for it. Do some stupid shit while we're up and get him back in the game. Just let him back right in the game because we hate ourselves. And then I wept.
Like, I felt a little bit like that was actually like we're deciding to challenge their manhood at some point. It's like now watch coach. See, they thought they could run on you, and your offense can't do anything. So it's like, well, does that actually work? I doubt it, but at the time, yeah, that hurt.
One of the question marks I have about Rule, like I don't doubt his recruiting. As a CEO, I think he's doing a good job. I don't doubt his ability to look in the mirror and say, we need to change this and that and do it quickly. I don't doubt his ability to motivate people and to speak at press conferences and rally the team. But one of the things that I've always kind of had question marks about is in-game management and in-game adjustments. Was it I think Cincinnati had a 4th and 7, and the crowd was going crazy in the 4th quarter. They're kind of on their heels, and he called timeout. And I was like, wait, you just helped them. They're discombobulated. You called a timeout, which helps them. You called the timeout, which quiets the crowd. It slows our momentum. So things like that are things that I'm still trying to figure out where my confidence level is when it comes to Matt Rule.
I thought there was a receiver that was uncovered.
Is that what it was? Maybe I missed that.
I thought we were out of alignment. Something was wrong with the defense and how they were
sense.
lined up. I didn't go back and watch it for the same reason I don't watch Adam's videos.
Well, and Adam, I saw what you
learn more. I understand.
I saw what you saw. I saw Cincinnati trying. There's Sorsby trying to move guys around and yelling at guys, and guys are like crossing, and then they're like timeout, and I'm like, cool, we drew a timeout. Wait, we called it? What? What did I? I was like, what did I miss? And then somebody goes, well, who knows? Maybe they saw something. So maybe there was, but yeah, watching at the time was tough. It was a little rough.
What else do we have to hit about Cincinnati? I mean, we got Akron and
my last thing is I wonder how good Cincinnati is. Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming in, you hear Cincinnati. This isn't the Bengals. This is the Bearcats. Okay. I think basketball before I think football. And then, they're a Power 4 team now, technically. I've used that term a million times. They're technically a Power 4 team because I don't view them that way. And the Big 12, it's not the same level as the Big 10. So even if you want to say Power 4, to me, it's 2, and then everybody else when it comes to conferences. Right. And then they were 5 and 7, and they were even worse the year before. So I'm just like, they must not be very good. Okay, they brought in a lot of new guys. When I was on the field before the game, I was watching them, and I was like, they look better than I thought they would. Like, just how they look physically. I mean, they're not Bama or Ohio State, but just how they look physically. I was like, okay, their demeanor, the way they were carrying themselves. I was like, they look a little bit better than I thought. I think they're definitely better than they've been. They're absolutely going to go to a bowl game. Does that mean 6-6? Does that mean 9-3? I don't know. I'm curious to see how good Cincinnati is as this season unfolds, or is not.
Well, and one of the other factors in there is yes, our defensive line is undersized. And that was kind of highlighted by the fact that Cincinnati had a really big offensive line. And I don't mean just for Cincinnati. I mean that had a lot of big guys on the line. So I don't know, are we probably going to see lines like that all year in the Big 12, maybe? And then the tight end eludes me. I know that he's considered, I don't know how much of an NFL prospect and if that was just pumped up for the game, but I'd heard where he's an NFL prospect. I'd heard that Jeff Caldwell, the transfer, was going to tear it up. And a guy that threw for over 2,800 yards last year, 18 touchdowns, like 7 INTs, somewhere in that area, threw for 69 yards. It's like there's positives. That was a good guy to shut down. And yeah, it's one of those things. I can live with 96 rushing yards if he's only passing for 69. It's a shame that a lot of them came when we really didn't need them to happen, but 271 total yards might end up looking like a good defensive total against this team as the year goes on. I agree.
Okay, I haven't been taking any comments. Let's go through some comments real quick. Gary Pierce says, what about the linebackers? What about the linebackers? I thought they'd look better. Saw a lot of safety tackles. Isn't Vincent Shavers the linebacker?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a linebacker.
He played well, didn't he?
Yeah, he played well. Like I have a graphic of the exact grade, but it was in like the 90 percentile. Like he was the highest graded defender on the entire defense. So he played really, really well. I was surprised. I never really focused specifically or went back when I looked at the game and paid attention specifically to Marquez Watson-Trent. I don't remember him doing anything specifically. I don't remember a bunch of tackles. Maybe I missed it.
He had 2, I think.
He had 2? Yeah,
I think he had 2 and Shavers had 3, but Shavers seemed to be obviously all over the field.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising to me. We'll see how that unfolds as the season goes along. For me, I remember, I want to say it was March. Dylan listed like 7 guys that were the leaders of the team at that point in time. Only 7. And Marquez was among them. Mm-hmm. Since then, I've not really heard his name since spring ball ended, throughout fall camp. It's kind of been very quiet under the radar. I didn't mean to single him out. As far as the linebackers as a whole, I thought they played pretty well. It's hard to know how the linebackers are doing when the defensive line is struggling with certain things. Because if I'm a D lineman and I take on a double team and they're not coming off, that linebacker runs free. He looks like an All-American. But if I'm a D lineman and all of a sudden I'm not doing my job so well, his job becomes harder. So it's hard to grade linebackers sometimes. And again, I paid more attention to the D-line in this game specifically. I didn't specifically look at them a ton.
But just from the numbers standpoint, and I don't know if it was you or John that said it, there were a lot of defensive back tackles. And that's when I'm kind of wondering, that's when things are feeling leaky, to use your word, is, Deshaun Singleton's leading the team in tackles. I think Donnie Jones made a few, but like the defensive backfield was making a lot of tackles, and Cincinnati wasn't throwing it like 40, 50 times where, hey, they're catching it and we're making tackles on 5-yard outs. It's like, no, they're coming up and run support. And fortunately, you have guys, and I like to always single out Donovan Jones and Sayre Wright on those, as those are 2 guys that aren't afraid to come up and put a hit on a running back. But do we really want them putting hits on running backs all night long?
So to your point, now that I had forgotten that, to your point, I looked it up after the game. Our top 3 tacklers were Deshaun Singleton, Andrew Marshall, and Donovan Jones. Yeesh. Top 3 tacklers should not be DBs. That's not what you want, ideally.
Yeah, it's like I can get, like I said, I get it in a if they're in a high passing offense, but no, they ran most of the night, and these guys still. So these guys are getting to the final level on a lot of these tackles.
Brent Wolf says, I'm not sold on Butler as a defensive coordinator. He's mid, good dude, can coach and relate, but in game adjustments and with a 3-4 he has an experience with. Adam, just so you know, when somebody says mid, it's not good. That's what the kids these days say.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, I watch your show so I can learn the lingo and what the kids are saying nowadays.
Yeah.
Got me on that. God damn.
Okay.
As far as Butler, let's see here. I'm not sold on Butler as a DC. So he's the quintessential example of a guy. He's been a DC once before for a year at Penn State, 2003. I'm sure you know, or 2013. I'm sure you know that. So it's not like he's never done it, but he doesn't have a ton of experience. He's that guy, the quintessential guy. Like, he's ready. Like, he's been doing it forever. He's done it at a high level. He's been very successful in the NFL. His position groups were dominant. 5 straight years, they had the number 1 pass defense in the world. Number 1 pass defense in the NFL makes you number 1 in the world. Like, he's ready to be a DC when you look at all those things. You don't actually find out if you're an actual good DC until you're actually a DC. So we'll see how that actually plays out. As far as him being a good dude, I have no idea. Honestly, he's very aloof and unfriendly, if you want to know the truth. Can coach and relate, but in-game adjustments and the experience deal. I mean, he's going to learn that as the year goes along and gets that in-game experience as a DC. So we'll kind of see how he does. It's not like it's his first rodeo, but it kind of is as a DC. So we'll see.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of said to defend John Butler is when they're talking about, man, I wish Tony White was here. And I'm like, well, I don't think his presence is going to make our line any bigger. So there is that. Because they were like, we couldn't stop the run.
We're going to take this one because it kind of bothers me. Fighter Doken. I hope that's not some weird German horrible term.
Is that a Geyser video?
Dylan looks so bored out there. I wonder if it affects the team's energy. And the people do not like Dylan Raiola as a quarterback. And I look at it and I kind of go, okay, you know what? Almost 80% completion rate. The per catch average is not very great. He checked down a lot. And all I could think of is, do we not like him because he can't run as fast as other quarterbacks? He doesn't dynamic because the whole, I don't think it's boredom. I think it's just the way he plays. He just doesn't get freaked out about anything. I'd like to hear all three of you. Let me know what you think of Dylan Raiola.
I'm perfectly fine with his demeanor. I mean, my mom couldn't stand Tom Brady because he would yell and scream on the sidelines. And now we have someone who's like, oh, he looks bored. Like, someone's always going to like or dislike how you act on the field. It just is what it is. If that's his demeanor, that's his demeanor. It's interesting. I think some fans like where he's at. You look at took care of the ball, 79% completion percentage. He looks like he made progress from year one to year two, the one game that we've seen. Okay, you hear all these positive things from Rule and from Holgerson. So I think fans like that. I think there's another maybe group of fans who want the old Nebraska option quarterback and someone who can run, and that's not his game. The one time I remember him taking off and running, he was decisive. That's all I ask. If you're not going to be fast, be decisive and do it. Make your decision fast. I think the other thing is the 5-star thing. Like, he's 5-star. You look at DJ Lagway. You look at some of these other guys. Julian Sand, who's actually the #1 quarterback from his class up at Ohio State, just beat Texas. You look at the Washington quarterback, whose name escapes me. He starts in the Sun Bowl last year, puts up over 500 yards of total offense. And so he's in the same class as Dylan. And I don't think we've seen some of the flashy things that some folks would like to see when it comes to the 5-star thing. I mean, I just want to see how I don't care about his demeanor, whatever. I just want to see how he progresses this year. As we play more teams, we need to be more explosive. If Cincy's not going to give that to you, fine, take what they give to you. Let's run the ball better in the process. As the year progresses, like Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, they both averaged around 15 yards of reception a year ago. So I would like to see some more big plays as the year goes along. The only thing that ever kind of bothered me about Dylan, I wasn't a big fan of him showing up at all these high school basketball games. And everyone loved when he showed up at the Crown tournament for the basketball team. And I'm like, he's sitting in the AD seat. That couldn't have been planned. He must have said, hey, I want to go. They got him on a private jet and got him up there. And I'm just kind of like, if you win games, I won't bat an eye at this. If you don't, I don't like this. Like, just win games. So,
Steve,
go ahead.
That's like Steve hasn't.
Well, I think it's the old don't get too high, don't get too low. He manages his emotions. And I want a calm quarterback. You can lead by example. You can see what's going on the sidelines when he's conversing, but I wouldn't attribute him to being bored on the field by any means.
The first time I saw him, something beyond like the huddle or YouTube highlights, was in the Polynesian Bowl. And that's the first time where I'm like, is he calm or is he asleep? Because he literally, when he was trusting in his pocket, he just keeps going through progressions. And I think that's at one point last year where they're like, hey, if it's broken down and you see 15 yards of open field in front of you, feel free to take off. We take what you can get. But yeah, he's always just struck me as not just calm beyond his years, calm beyond like some NFL quarterbacks' years, is just as far as, nope, I'm good. And he can really move quick. He's not running, your 4.40 or anything close, but he really gets away from pressure, especially like one-on-one pressure. he'll stand there. They'll launch for the kill shot, and he'll just kind of dart out of the way, take a few steps to the right, and start going through the progressions again. So no, he's not asleep on the field. I don't know what makes him that calm. If having a dad who played in the NFL and Uncle Matt Stafford and all of that has something to do with, like, hey, I guess it's not that big a deal because these old guys did it. I'm making that up. He never said anything like that. One thing that's been fun about him this year is, all his teammates, his brothers, the coaches go, this guy is just so incredibly smart. It blows me away. And then last year he'd come in and just be probably what was just a little bit of nerves, just he kind of mumbles a little and all that. This year you can just see it happen from spring through the fall camp to where he walks in, he's messing with people a little. He's much more confident in that setting. And I feel like his football game is going to grow the same way. And I think he's got a better receiver core. I think having receivers that couldn't get open last year had people giving him a lot of shit he didn't deserve. Who was that guy who did the film guy who does the film breakdown on YouTube? And he was taking it through there, and he was just like, this guy was actually one of the better quarterbacks in the country I covered last year as far as decision making, going through progressions. He just kept going. He didn't have dudes. And he goes, you really know you don't have dudes when Boston College is locking down all your receivers and you're having to go to your third and fourth guy. And he goes, he makes good decisions. And I feel like the line gave him a lot of time. 2 of those 3 sacks were ones where he, they were more like coverage sacks. All right, time to take off. Made it almost to the line, 1-yard sack. I think the only true sack was that one on the very last drive. So yeah, he's not asleep. I have a lot of confidence in him. Some people tell me too much, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's just leave it at that.
Do we like this offense? Huh?
I don't know that we saw the offense.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it yet.
Okay, either. Is that it? That's what we're going with?
I think
you saw a balance of run and pass. What you didn't see is a lot of execution.
Yeah, I thought he took what they gave him. I mean, it completed 80%. Just there wasn't a lot downfield.
Yeah.
Adam, do you like this offense?
I agree that I don't think we saw the offense. Part of me wonders if it was truly we're just going to take what Cincy gives us. They played 3 tackles at left tackle. They're not going to do that going forward. They very well may have told, I don't think we had a fair catch all night. They probably told their returners, catch it and go.
Yeah.
And so I can't help but wonder if maybe they came into this game, I don't want to say overconfident or assuming they'd win, but they were going to do certain things and we're going to win anyways, that they may not do later on down the road. That's kind of what my gut feeling is. So I almost wonder if we were concealing a few things offensively. Just knowing that Michigan's coming down the road and the Big Ten's coming down the road. To answer your question, Thursday, I didn't like the offense we saw Thursday. We didn't run the ball well. We weren't explosive. We were boring. But I feel like there's more to it than that. And so I'm curious. I don't think we'll see a whole lot the next 2 weeks. I'm curious to see what we do come Michigan.
Two things. When we had the false start with Elijah Pritchard, they lined up in the T formation. I was really upset that we didn't get to see what they were going to run out of a T formation because almost nobody runs that formation. I think Penn State, I did a video on my history channel about the T formation. I think Penn State has run it recently in college. A couple NFL teams will run it every once in a while, but I wanted to see what are we going to do with this. I personally don't like the offense, the way it's structured, because I'm an offensive genius and I can say these things. I think that it didn't look like Dana Holgerson to me. It looked like Matt Rule said, I want you to do this. And I would have expected, I don't know, some more mesh, a little bit of air raid in there.
You're going to write Holgerson, John, and ask him to run the wishbone?
Well,
with Dylan Raiola, too.
Yeah.
You put Harburg in.
John, I got to be honest with you. When they lined up in that T formation, I kid you not, you are who I thought of. I just thought you had to be at home as football horny as you had ever been in your life with all the black and white the 1908 bug eater, documentary bullshit that you do. I thought you just were like,
I did scream at my TV.
oh my God. I don't think you were probably as excited when Frazier broke, 38 Florida tackles in the Fiesta Bowl, man. I was laughing and I couldn't tell anybody, because if I start talking about my guy who's into black and white football and it's so funny, it just would have been, okay, so now you're too excited. Settle down. But then Pritchett false started and took all of it away.
That was really disappointing. It really was.
See, those are some of the things. Football. First of all, football horny. New term I've never heard before. Gonna
That's what the kids say that a lot these days too.
Yeah, the kids.
Do you guys know? Okay, random sidebar. Do you guys know who Matt McChesney is? He played for Colorado.
I remember the name. Somebody else brought him up in the last couple of weeks too. I don't think it was you. I think it was you and somebody else. But anyway.
So I know Matt. He played, I think he was a little older than me or younger than me, but our kids actually played against each other. He coached an 8th grade football team. I coached an 8th grade football team. That was the first time I met him. He's behind me. He goes, "Hey, Carricker." I turn around. Here's Matt and everything. He got the glasses, the big everything. He's kind of, how do I put this? He's gotten very mad on X lately, okay, for various reasons. He's frustrated with youth parents, and he's losing his mind.
Oh.
And he just tweets out F football, except he doesn't say F. He says the word F football. Somebody responds with, "Is this an adjective or a verb?" And I burst out laughing. I thought that was the most hilarious thing ever. Is it an adjective or a verb? I was like, wow. And again, unnecessary random sidebar. Horny football made me think of that. Whatever. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about whether or not we like
T formation.
The T formation, yes.
Well, so even if we don't see like the air raid and stuff like that, I want to see little creative things. Ty Robinson monster formation, loved it. The T formation, love it. We got a sneak of Cam Lenhart at fullback, love that. Like, it doesn't have to look like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and some of the other play, West Virginia, Houston, where he's been. But are you going to be creative within what you plan on doing? And that's kind of what I want to see as the season unfolds a little bit.
Maybe I always, going back to they're going to run the wishbone. Minnesota, you guys know I talk about this. Minnesota under Fleck has used quarterbacks. They have packages. I can't remember who it was last year, but they'll bring in a package and they'll run nothing but like a wildcat type thing, or they always run nickel duo, but they'll bring him in and he'll basically run, I don't know, zone reads maybe, but it's a special package for a guy that isn't going to throw the ball, except for one time when he threw a ball against Nebraska. He was in and they made 40 yards because we expected a run. Why don't they do that with Heinrich Harburg? I mean, this is a guy that looks to me like he could at least go to an NFL team, get a tryout as an undrafted free agent, and maybe like Thomas Fedoni make a team. Fedoni got drafted, but you get the idea.
I think Steve answered that earlier. I think Steve answered that earlier. They're not going to show us that against Cincinnati. They're definitely not going to show us that against Akron and Houston Christian. And
you got to find out how it works on the field.
Well, I don't think they want to give anybody that tape yet. Also, Houston Christian beat Arkansas Baptist 69-0. And I don't know if I've ever heard of a game that had more potential for religious knife fights in the parking lot. I was like, those two team names.
BYU Notre Dame? BYU Notre Dame? SMU TCU? No?
Yeah, this just feels different, though. This just feels more like small town. Good,
more violent?
Yeah. the rest of them know they got to behave under the bright lights. Houston Christian put up 69 points. Be very afraid.
All right.
I'm kidding.
All four of you got credentialed. All four of you got to experience Kansas City. What was your favorite moment?
Are you now more nervous for Houston Christian, who dropped 69, or Akron, who lost 10-0 to Wyoming? Who makes you more nervous now?
I did an entire article today on let's not be too afraid yet. Here's what the rest of our schedule did in week one, and there's nothing really scary that anyone did. Here was Michigan that I was like, oh my God, Michigan will roll right over us. Yeah, the same way they rolled over New Mexico. All right, I'm not completely frightened yet. No, my favorite thing about the Kansas City experience was finally arriving after a little over 5 hours. If I'm honest.
That's what I was gonna say.
Sorry. I feel like a lot of people would have said that. So yeah, I don't think I was being original or anything, but
That took forever.
That was amazing.
I like how Rule.
Most of it was self-inflicted, I thought. Like, okay, there were a lot of cars. It was going to be busy, but so much of it was just, okay, Meemaw and Peepaw, you don't need to be driving 71 in the left-hand lane to pass the semi that's going 70 while a mile and a half of traffic backs up behind you. And then you could just see open road in front. You'd go again, and then there's the semi that wants to pass the other semi, and there's another 10-minute. And God forbid the 2 times I saw like police have people pulled over, because I think it's just a Nebraska frickin' statute that if you see the cops with somebody pulled over and you're on an interstate, you have to slow down to 5 and stare at the gunfight that's never going to happen and just be excited by the guy writing a ticket. Now you know what I felt like in that drive. I'm getting mad all over again, and I'm just sitting in my living room. But yeah, that was frustrating at times.
Steve, what did you see on the field?
Well, on the field, obviously, is what you hear. It was full house. That was clear from the get-go. It was a Nebraska crowd. I like how Rule projects in his press conferences. What did he say today? He says, well, we would like to go back to Kansas City. He's projecting. Of course we would. The mayor of Kansas City tweeted out, love to have Nebraska. I've never been to a home game at Nebraska, but it sure felt like it. It's tens of millions of economic impact. Everywhere that you went, the next day we went out and about, like all of the other Nebraska fans, the restaurants, a third Nebraska people, go to a couple different venues, it's half Nebraska people. So it was a major show out, obviously, but it was fun having that first game of the year in a different environment.
Really?
Yeah,
I think
it was a change of pace.
Yeah, I think in all seriousness, for me, it was cool. You kind of knew it was coming. You knew Nebraska fans were going to take over, and then for every Cincinnati, Ohio area code ticket that was bought, there was at least 10 Nebraska one, like area code. Like it was probably 19-1. It was probably 95% Nebraska fans. But just to watch Nebraska fans kind of take over Arrowhead and the atmosphere and walking on the field before, and then as the game's going, people are getting into it. And then the Cincinnati coach complaining afterwards about the Nebraska fans and what was supposed to be their home game. That was probably one of my favorite parts.
None of you mentioned being in the same vicinity as Taylor Swift. What the hell? What?
Some girlfriend of a Cincinnati guy? Who cares?
There was a photographer next to me. There's a photographer.
Now that we're all going to get doxxed and death threats. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
There was a photog next to me. Play action, click, click, click. Up at the suite, click, click, click. Field, click, click, click. And he did this thing for a quarter. It's like, okay, let's watch what's on the field, guys.
Right. Yeah, I tell you what, the drinking was fantastic. I when I was walking, first of all, you got people, they had to open the gates for him like half hour early, as we talked about, just because people wanted to get in there and drink. So they're probably in line, some of them at the closed gates for an hour at least. And I mean, walking through there was one thing. I had to take daughter and fiance back after the game. And I remember at one point I was dumb enough to think, hey, by the time I get out of here an hour and 15 minutes later, am I just going to be walking through an empty parking lot waiting to get clubbed over the head and having, someone steal the wallet and credit cards they can't use? And the party was still going. Well, for one thing, up in the press box, we could see the parking lot, and we're going like, holy crap. Okay, first of all, there is a line going out, but a lot of these cars are just still sitting there. And 30 minutes later, a lot of those cars are still just sitting there. And let's just say when I just slept as late as I could, gassed up, headed out a little after noon. and I was not on a empty highway going home. I think a lot of people, for very different reasons, stayed in bed as long as they could and then headed home. And I think I was going home with the hungover, the brutally hungover. And yeah, then there was a couple times I got off the interstate to cut around some of that traffic. So good job, Nebraska.
Okay, we got like 3 in a row. Brad says the Nebraska offense is pure propaganda. Stephen Fromm says Rule is so good at propaganda. And Mr. Blitzkrieg says pure propaganda.
Huh. So what are you trying to say?
First of all, I think if you're a head coach these days, you have to be more about propaganda than ever before in the history of football. I mean, I'm not implying anything when I say this, okay? Don't take it that way. But I think right now, because of the House settlement and the fact that you're now paying players, you have NIL coming in all over the place. Go out and look at Huskers.com and look at the number of people that are on our staff and the number of coaches we have, the number of support staff and things like that. If you fire a coach these days, it used to be that you just go, you got to pay massive amount of dollars for a buyout. If you fire a coach these days, you have to replace so much of your entire staff and bring in. I keep thinking that leash has to be much longer these days, and coaches are going to have to be more like Matt Rule, where they're very good to honestly propaganda. If that's what it takes to get players to come to their program, Matt Rule started his YouTube channel podcast thing. And at first I went, what the hell? He's not going to have any time to coach. And then I thought, it's not any different than Bob Devaney and Tom Osborne doing their coaching shows years ago. So I don't know. That's my reaction to the pure propaganda thing.
Well, you actually made a great point when you talked about the size of the support staff, because players they asked during the spring and the fall who came from, say, lower Division I, 1AA, like Andrew Marshall, Jameer Khan, they were asking him, hey, what's the biggest difference between where you were in Lincoln, Nebraska? And they were just like, number one answer was the support staff. Oh my God, here's the training table, the post game, the tubs, the rub downs, and all this, and they were just like, nothing. We had nothing even close to this before. So no, I just thought, yeah. You get rid of you blow out a coaching staff, you got to do more than hire 13 guys now. That's for sure.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to talk about? Because I usually try to do an hour, and my brain's starting to blow up, and I don't know how to end these things. Is there anything else that we should bring up?
I was going to make it easier by saying I got to run. So
okay,
I'll leave that to you three.
One more thing before you go, Adam. Are you going to revise your season prediction?
No, I can't ever change it after one game. Here's what I know: we're going to be 3-0. We're going to be 3-0. Hey, we're a third of the way to my prediction before we have to face Michigan. That's all I know.
That's a good point. Well, then I'm keeping mine at 10-2, and you're still a pansy and a non-believer. What do you think of that?
Again. Nice.
Oh, it's been so much fun coming on tonight. We should do it again in about 10 years.
After he finally watches one of your full shows.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe, everybody else, I assumed everybody else that showed up. We have like 500 people online. They should be watching your shows, right?
Yeah. If you're interested, the Character Chronicles were on YouTube, as you know. Just simply type in Character Chronicles, characterchronicles.com. I mean, you put all your stuff up on the website there, John. You guys do a great job as well. I'm also on Facebook, X, and TikTok if you'd like to follow me there.
Okay.
Well, nice to meet you, Steve. I didn't get to see you in person in KC, but good to see your smiling face tonight.
We'll catch you next time, Andy.
All right, John. Yeah, see you. Good seeing you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I think that's it for tonight.
I'll talk to you guys later.
We're gonna wrap up. But thanks, Adam, for joining us. Yep. Good to see you, Steve.
Thank you.
And that's it. Take care, y'all. And Adam's right. We're 3-0, probably going into Michigan. Don't worry about it. Take it one game at a time.
That's more than probably.
Well,
we better be 3-0.
We'll be 3-0. Okay. Good night, everybody.
All right.
See y'all. Take care.
Thanks, Adam.